Here is the 10-step process to your home selling timeline in 2023. Please make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe, and hit that little bell icon so that you don't miss any future videos. Hi everybody, my name is Jesse with the Leduc Real Estate Group at eXp Realty, here with another amazing video with some real estate tips for you and your community. Today I'm going to run through the 10-step process, which is the home selling timeline. We're going to talk about everything from interviewing realtors to the new buyers moving into your house. Okay, so let's hop right into it with number one. And if you've seen any of my previous videos, one that I highly recommend is to go check out how to hire the proper real estate agent for your transaction, okay? Because that is number one in the home selling timeline, is interviewing multiple real estate agents. When it comes to selling your house, it's likely your biggest asset. You need to make sure you hire the right representation. So make sure to interview more than one person. Of course, though, just make sure that I am one of those people, and I am confident that I will be the one that you choose at the end of that. So number one, interview multiple real estate agents. Number two is coming up with an effective pricing strategy. That doesn't mean pick the realtor who gives you the highest price. It means come up with an effective pricing strategy based on market knowledge, experience, and what we're going to talk about next, marketing. Okay, so pricing a home is critically important. Another video I did on the top 3 biggest mistakes home sellers make. Spoiler alert, that's number one, is overpricing your home. Number 2 is pricing, which rolls right into number 3 in the home selling timeline, which is a marketing strategy. Okay, so pricing is the most important thing. You need to be in the right ballpark. Buyers are very educated now. They are going to be able to sniff out an overpriced listing very easily. So how are you going to differentiate yourself aside from price? Well, it comes down to marketing. So when we think about real estate agents in the past, how did they sell homes? Well, they put them up on MLS, right? Because that was really the only centralized database that existed for selling homes, besides like the newspaper and things like that. So they put them up on MLS, they poke a sign on your front lawn, I'll call you if I get an offer, right? That's kind of how it used to work, and it used to work really well. Well, nowadays with the advent of all this different technology and social media and the internet and things like that, it's not enough anymore. It's still an important part of it. MLS is still an important part about the process. It just shouldn't be the only part about the process still. And there are a lot of real estate agents that still operate that way. So make sure that you are hiring somebody who has an effective marketing strategy. Things like social media, it completely inverts the marketing system, because when we go back to newspapers, the MLS, open houses, realtor caravans, sending mail to the neighborhood, all of these things, they're a shotgun blast style of marketing, right? I'm blasting this thing that I'm selling out there, and I hope that the right people see it and come to me, right? Where things like social media completely invert that. Now I get to choose who sees this thing that I'm selling, okay? Because based on my knowledge and experience in the market and the community, I know who's going to buy this house. Is it going to be a first-time home buyer? Is it going to be that move-up buyer? Is it going to be a move-down buyer? Are they downsizing? Are they empty nesters? Is it going to be an investor? Like, who's going to buy this property? Now let's go find those people and get it in front of as many of those eyeballs as we possibly can, instead of just anybody. Number 4 is staging. So one of the things we offer at the Leduc Real Estate Group is a free home staging consult, so that somebody's going to walk through the house with you, and they're going to give you little tips and tricks and ideas on how to make your home look its best for number 5, which is media day. Okay, so media day is not photo day. Photos are an important part about the process. They're just not the only part anymore. So some of the services that we offer is professional photography. I'm not a professional photographer. I don't do my own photos. I'm not going to walk around with my iPhone and go clickety-click and take those pictures and that's it. No, we hire a professional photographer who does this for a living, that knows the best angles, that can make it look its best without making it look more than it is, right? Because that can happen too. So we do professional photography, we do professional videos. We can do a complete walking tour, a virtual reality walking tour throughout your house, depending on where it's located and what type of property it is. We can do drone photography. Maybe you're backing onto a lake or a walking trail, there's a park nearby. Or maybe if it's an acreage, certainly you want to kind of get at the lay of the land and see exactly what it is we're buying, because there's so much land involved, more so than just a house, right? So all of these things go into media day. We also create floor plans so that people can see exactly where everything is and get a nice visual of that, because remember, They're going to start shopping for your home online before they make a decision to physically come through the front door. So all of these tools help us sell your house online before somebody's even there. Step number 6 in the home selling timeline is the listing launch day. So the whole first 5 steps in the home selling process, your house isn't even listed yet. Listing launch day, this is one of the most important days, okay? So the for sale sign is gonna go on the front lawn. It's gonna be launched up on MLS. And that does a couple things. One, it lets the public know that, hey, look at this new listing that's now available. It also lets realtors know, hey, realtors, we got a new listing that's available. Bring me your buyers. All right, so the MLS, like I said, still is an important tool, just shouldn't be the only tool. So social media plays a really important part in the listing launch day. We want to make this a big deal, right? We want to get it out there to as many people as possible in a short amount of time. Social media is the perfect way to do that. So that's going to be different posts, both still photography, video photography. It's going to be paid social media ads, targeted ads. This is what I'm talking about. We're going to target the people who we think are going to want to buy this house. So this all happens on day 1. Those first few weeks when you're on the market are the most important. That is where you are going to get the most amount of money for your house. So listing launch day is very important, and it is step number 6. Number 7 is showings. Okay, so now you got to show the house. Now this isn't the funnest part, I must admit. Being a home seller fairly recently myself, it's not fun. I get it. Okay, but here's how it actually works. We can set up as much notice as you require for advanced showings. If you need 24 hours, great. If you need 2 hours, great. Right? Whatever it is, we'll work with you on that to make sure that it's not too much of a disruption in your life. We do ask that you get out of the house when there's a showing. There's nothing worse than a home buyer walking into your home and the owner is there making you feel really uncomfortable. People buy houses on emotion. So if they don't feel good and feel comfortable in your house, they are not going to buy your house, even if it checks off all the boxes on paper. All the showings are usually booked in a 1-hour time slot. So there's going to be a showing between 2 and 3 on Thursday. Fantastic. The showings typically don't take an hour, but we always book an hour time slot because typically, realtors or myself are out there with a buyer looking at multiple homes at once. You never know exactly when you're going to be at that door. So if a typical showing, I would say takes 15, 20 minutes. If it takes longer than that, that's usually a good sign. All right, so now we've been showing the house, all the photos have been done, you've chosen a realtor, all of these things, right? Now we're in process, we're in the kind of the dog days of summer of selling your house, all these showings are happening, fantastic. And then bam, at some point, you're gonna get an offer. Fantastic. So what we do as real estate agents is walk you through the offer process to make sure that you understand everything about it. I mean, ideally you have more than one offer, but typically in our market, we are just going to see one offer. We'll review it with you. We'll go through exactly what everything means, make sure that you are comfortable with it, and then we start the negotiating. Then we start the song and dance, right? And ultimately, we are going to not force you to take anything that you're not comfortable with. Because remember, up to this point, you've made the right decision in choosing the right representation. You've made the right decision by pricing it effectively. And you've made the right decision by having an effective marketing strategy that is going on in the background, okay? So we shouldn't have to negotiate too much here, really. Because if we position ourselves properly, we are going to sell it relatively close to list price, at least within a few % of where we're listed at. Okay, so that's kind of the easy part for us is we have the data, the knowledge, and the experience to back us up. So we'll make sure that you're comfortable accepting whatever it is that you end up taking. So now you've accepted an offer. Most likely, it's going to be conditional. So this rolls into step number 9 of the home selling timeline, is the conditional period. So when someone writes an offer, most likely it's going to be subject to a home inspection and it's going to be subject to financing. Unless a buyer is paying cash, they are going to put a financing condition in, even if they've been pre-approved. The bank not only has to approve you, the buyer, that's the pre-approval part, but the bank also has to approve the property. That's the financing condition part. So that often means an appraisal. The bank's going to send an appraiser to make sure that what you've agreed to pay as the buyer is what they think that it's worth, right? Okay, so there's going to be a conditional period. Usually it's around 2 weeks. It can be anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks. Anything longer than that, I wouldn't recommend unless they have a really good reason and you're comfortable with the rest of the offer. So during that conditional period, we just sort of sit back and wait. You as the seller, there's really nothing much for you to do. At some point, the financing is going to be either fully approved or close to being approved, and that buyer is going to schedule a home inspection. Again, we need to treat this like a 3-hour showing. We ask that you leave the house for about 3 hours or so. The buyer's going to go and do their home inspection. And most often after a home inspection, there is one of 3 things happens. 1, the buyer moves ahead as is. Great. That's the best outcome. It's rare though. It happens, but it's a little bit rare. The second option is the buyer backs out of the deal completely because the home inspection was awful. That's really rare. Usually by the time they've made the decision to put pen to paper to write an offer, they're pretty comfortable with what they're buying. So it's pretty rare that they back out completely after a home inspection. Most often what we get is another renegotiated period. And this doesn't mean that you're going to all of a sudden lose thousands of dollars because of this and that and whatever. Most often it's little things like, hey, did you know the sump pump wasn't working? Maybe you had no idea. Maybe it's the dead of winter and you had no idea. That's a really common one we get. So it's like, hey, listen, I'll still buy your house. I just want you to replace the sump pump. Great, it's going to cost me $300, no problem. Let's move forward. Okay, so there's a renegotiating period and we have to put all that on paper, right? And so a lot of times there's things that sellers aren't even aware of. So it can't be like age-related wear and tear things that they try and nitpick you on. If they try and do that, that's where your real estate professional will push back to make sure that you're not getting taken advantage of. Okay, so that's step number 9 is the conditional period. After they've removed conditions from the contract, they've satisfied their financing condition, they've satisfied their home inspection condition, the property is 100% sold. Sold stickers go up, you guys choose lawyers, you let us know who the lawyers are, and we get everything off and sent to the lawyers. Again, there's really not much for you to do from a real estate perspective. Really, your biggest job between the time they remove conditions and the time that the new buyers move in is pack and move, right? So I know that's like probably the hardest part about this whole process, but really that's going on behind the scenes. There's really not a lot for you to do during this time period. The only thing that you will need to do is go into the lawyers to sign off on the title of transfer and get all the money sorted out. Okay, so you need to notify us who you'd like to use for a lawyer. We get everything sent off to them. The lawyer contacts you, you come in, it's usually a week or so before the possession date, and you sign off on all the documents. And then number 10, the last day is closing day. So what happens on closing day? The contract says that the buyers take over at noon. It's not always noon. It's usually around there, but the contract says noon, but realistically, we need to wait until the money gets there. So in the morning of possession day, the buyer's lawyer has already received all the funds, partly from the buyer themselves in the form of the down payment, and then they receive the rest of the funds from the bank. Now they have the whole purchase price, let's say it's $450,000. Great, they send all that money over to your lawyer, the seller's lawyer. As soon as the seller's lawyer receives those funds, we can now release keys to the buyer, and that's the seller's lawyer is the one who pays out your mortgage, right? And then they pay us, and then you get what's left over, right? In the form of a check or direct deposit, however you've set that up. So on closing day, as a seller, there's really not much for you to do. A couple little quick notes that I think are really nice touches for home sellers is to leave a note for the buyers, explain anything about the property, let them know where the mailbox is, leave all the keys on the kitchen counter, leave the garage door openers on the counter so that it's nice, easy, and accessible for the new buyers to go and enjoy their new home. So there you have it. There is the 10-step process for the home selling timeline in 2023. Please make sure to go and watch all of our other videos. We have new ones that come out weekly, and we are here for your real estate needs. If you ever want to discuss buying or selling your home, you know who to reach out for. Thank you very much. My name is Jesse with the Leduc Real Estate Group at eXp Realty, and we'll see you next time.